like covers that. Tim's gonna have a conversation with Justin and get that answer back to me in the next couple of days, and then I can circulate that with you guys. We've got a question from Hasina Anwar. Go ahead, please. Hasina Anwar. Hasina Anwar. Okay, we can come back to Hasina then. There's a question that someone's put in the group chat. First one is, what is your understanding of madrasas? That's for you, Tim. What is your understanding of madrasas, or the education department's understanding of madrasas? And why wasn't there any mention of madrasas since lockdown, unlike the schools?
So I didn't catch the second half of the question, Habib.
Oh, so the second half of the question was, why wasn't there any mention of madrasas since the lockdown, unlike with schools? So in terms of, yeah.
Very, very good question. Extremely good question. I guess the simple answer to that is that, you know, the priority, with the speed with which we were working, the priority was defined, if you like, by the Department for Education, which focuses on the kinds of settings that we've been communicating with. But you're absolutely right. It's a gap that we need to fill as quickly as possible. And I guess one of my intentions following this meeting is making sure that we are fully up to speed with the needs of madrasas. And from my point of view, I'm not going to pitch myself as an expert on that. We've got colleagues in my directorate who help us with that. But at the end of the day, for me, it's about understanding, have we got the right response? So this for me is an opportunity to really do better and do more in that space. And I wouldn't try and position myself as an expert with any sense of the term. So I think the simplest way of approaching that question is, if I answer the questions that are asked today, and if subsequently to that there are still some big gaps, and I'm really keen to engage with you to try and fill them, because it's really critical to us, really critical. I just saw the flash up on the chat. The risk assessment is available. We can share that with you in terms of. Yeah.
I said I'll share that.
Happy to do that. Yeah. And let's, Habib, just make sure we've got the latest version. I don't think it's changed in the last week or so, but let's just make sure.
I'll touch base with the Razia and get an updated version of her.
Brilliant.
So there was a question. There's Hasina, are you still on the line? Do you want to come in and ask your question, please? Hasina?
Yes, I am. Yes.
Sorry, go ahead.
Okay. Basically, I've got a statement. I believe it was by yourself, Tim. It was on the Birmingham website, on the school website, and he was talking about out-of-school settings. Was that yourself?
If it's in my name, Hasina, it will be me, yeah.
Yeah. Well, sorry, I'm just using my...
Yeah.
It's Brother Latif, isn't it? Sorry, it's Brother Mohammed Latif, isn't it? Sorry, apologies, because he's coming up as
somebody else's laptop. Sorry, my family's laptop.
That's fine, yeah. So it's
sorry.
Right. Mohammed Latif, yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah. Can I just quote to you? You wrote, in addition, out-of-school settings tend to be key community hubs of social interaction, similar to places such as community and youth centres, indoor leisure facilities, and places of worship, which are still required by law to remain closed. Is that right?
Yes.
Can I ask, with your respect, where did you get that definition for it being in place for a madrasa?
So without going back to the statement, my guess would be we borrowed the definition from the DFE's definition of out of school.
Okay, I spoke to DFE. They at Birmingham City Council as well. They acknowledged that it wasn't their definition, and I also spoke to your department, and I couldn't get in touch with yourself, but I spoke to a colleague of yours, and he said he would bring up the matter with yourself. My point is that the madrasa definitely does not fit under that definition. That description is not applicable. In fact, you may or may not know, but madrasas, the Prime Minister, David Cameron, announced that they will be registered. This is going back 4 years ago when he was a Prime Minister. They had a Tory conference and there was some discussion at Parliament level. In the end, it decided out-of-school settings as a whole would not be registered. But however, the point is that they have certain requirements. For example, safeguarding, health and safety, DBS checks, and so on. So basically, the madrasa is almost the next step down. It is, I'd say, from a school in terms of its fulfillment of requirements and legislations. The lessons are done very much in the pedagogy of the mainstream school system. You have a teacher, you have delivery, you have students. You absolutely do not have the situation of a community or a youth center where people are walking in and out at all. In fact, if I was to sit you in a madrasa, you wouldn't know the difference between a madrasa's classroom and a school classroom in terms of delivery. And the safeguarding measures. I know for myself, because I deliver training for safeguarding up and down the country now. I've delivered from Newcastle to Portsmouth and over 200 sessions. Mm-hmm. So many madaaris are actually trained and fully qualified. In fact, there are 3 levels of training: basic awareness, the safeguarding officer, the DSO, and management. So, and I've taken that because I work with schools, independent schools, and I help them to prepare for Ofsted inspections. So I know the level of, so if that's the preparation they've got, and that's the legislation they're following, they've got DBS check, they've got health and safety regulations in place. How is it possible to treat the madrasa or even identify it as a community or a youth center or indoor leisure facility? And when it came to closing the madrasas, they were closed with the schools as being, you know, lumbered in with the schools, yet on opening, they're nowhere to be mentioned. And I noticed, again, respectfully, but there are a few pertinent questions about madrasas, but you don't seem to have the answers for that. And I'm just wondering if there is a complete lack of discussion on madrasa. And if so, this is desperately needs to be filled, because we have complied. Since David Cameron's speech, we complied regardless. I mean, I personally made it my endeavor to do that. I said, look, we're going to comply regardless. So I went up and down the country, as I said, and I work with a multi-faith institute who has been funding the training. They're from London. I can put you in touch with them. They can verify. But my point is that madrasa is absolutely not applicable to the definition you have here of the double S, you know, out of school settings. That they're similar to youth centers, indoor leisure facilities. Absolutely not. They have strict safeguarding in place. Even the parents are not allowed into the classroom, just as you wouldn't in a school. So, and in terms of the spacing and so on, we can match the schools without any problem at all, because most madrasas are set inside school mosque buildings, and mosque buildings have massive halls. I know, because my daughter now goes to mainstream school. There's 6 of them in the class, and they have to space the tables, and they can only manage 6 in a classroom setting, and the rest they have to put into a hall. In our case, we already have halls. And we would mirror the school. So we will only allow children into the madrasa in the evening who are now going into schools in the daytime. So if we're going along with this all along, I don't, can you see my point? It's
yeah, of course I can. Yeah, absolutely. It's passionately put, and I'm agreeing with you. I think that, I mean, my guess would be that the statement around out of school, it was a kind of generic statement to make a point about closure and opening, but your points are really well made around, you know, where the madrasa fit in this context. And what you're quite rightly saying is that the settings that you're describing, we need to consider specifically in terms of the ability for them to open safely. I think that's quite rightly your point.
In fact, if you go with your definition, your second paragraph states the government's current planning assumption is adjustments to the current measures for these type of premises, referring to your out-of-school definition. So if the madrasa is not defined as such, then it wouldn't be included in this definition, in which case all action on the madrasa, or lack of, is actually incorrect.
Yeah, no, I understand that. I mean, my main interest is, can we safely open learning settings is the main interest. So I think where we need to kind of join forces and cohere is, what does that look like? And is there a specific plan in place for that to happen? And is the quality of information that you're receiving and support you're receiving good enough? And I think what you're passionately and correctly saying to me today is that's not at the level you'd need it to be. So as part of what I'll do is take away these questions today. They're also about reviewing our arrangements in relation to madrasa and saying, okay, what do we need to do differently, and how do we need to work with you differently to support safe opening? I think if I'm reading you correctly is where we need to take that.
Well, I can tell you almost for a fact, I mean, I train madrasas up and down the country. As I said, I've done over 200 sessions. I work in madrasas myself. And I did a training session online for literally this, the risk assessment for COVID. And we're very much ready. And we can mirror the schools today. If we started tomorrow, we could do it tomorrow. Because already, as you're aware, the mosques are open and they've already got these measures in place. Housing a madrasa within that setting is just the next step. It's not a difficulty at all. Yeah. As I said, what I'm looking at is this technically, perhaps even legally, is an incorrect description, and so the madrasa is being it's being misrepresented and unfairly sidelined while schools are open, and the madrasa it has every right to be open alongside the schools. And I said we can mirror everything. And somebody just asked you earlier the question about children. We know generally across the country, children have not had any fatalities from this at all. The doctors themselves are saying that children are bouncing back. To them, it's just a flu. So if the madrasa setting can equal the school setting, and the school settings are open, and in fact, they never close. Even during that time when they first closed, I was arguing the case that the madrasa should also stay open for key worker children. They should have stayed open for key worker children. But now, and then nothing was done at that time. And I did ask this question several times to Justin as well. And after 3 weeks of search, he kept coming back saying that, I haven't got the answer just yet. It comes to a point that you can imagine that, it's quite, frustrating for us, because to the, not just the Asian community, by the way, this is the Muslim community, sorry, this is also inclusive with the Jewish community. I'm in touch with some rabbis, the church community. Our religious education for our children is very important. RE in school just doesn't cut it. Okay, and so it's it brings up good moral children, gives them understanding of morals and vices and so on, and it's very important. And it does contribute to the society in a very positive way, and has done for years. Yeah. We're very conscious of that, and we're very conscious of Birmingham and gangs and things. We work on that. I've just had a meeting yesterday with somebody talking more about taking a greater approach to youth in Birmingham and knife culture and gangs and so on. And all of this, again, relating back to the madrasa, that we need to expand the madrasa service. And we're doing all this without any government funding since our inception 40, 50 years ago. And we're doing a lot of work which is completely unrecognized. And I feel it's very unfair right now that during this crisis, where we needed to reach our youth more than before because of the crisis, we were unable to do. And a lot of our youth were actually bitter, frustrated. We would have provided a valuable service for them. We could have, talked to them.
I'm not hearing this last bit. I don't know if colleagues can hear.
Yeah, we can counsel them, etc., on this matter itself, but we are not being able to. We're completely shut down of all.
I think we might have lost connection.
I can hear you. I can hear you, Tim. Can you hear me, Tim?
Sorry, did you catch that last bit? Hello, Tim?
I don't think you can hear us. Tim, can you hear us? I can see him moving. You're just trying to figure stuff out, I think. Trying to change things around. I mean, Brother Idris is waiting to come in with a question as well, Brother Latif. Okay, if you can you hear me, Brother Latif?
Yes.
Yeah, if you can finish off your question or your statement, Brother Idris is waiting to come in as well.
That's fine. I think that I've said more or less what I wanted to say. If you say the last point, then that would be important as well in terms of our youth and their frustration.
Tim, can you hear us now? I think it's. Tim, can you hear us?
I think that's him. Apologies, the connection dropped. I couldn't hear that.
Yeah, I'm just
Tim,
trying to.
Can you hear us now?
I think he's logged off and he'll log back on again.
Yeah.
So let's let him log back on again. Yeah, if you just want to when he's logged back on again, if you want to make your last point and then let Brother Idris come in, please. Yeah.
Okay.
Just let him log back. I'm admitting him again. Okay. Tim, are you back with us?
I'm back in, yeah. And Habib, I'm really sorry. I've got 5 o'clock, so I've probably got another 2 or 3 minutes.
No worries. no worries. I think if the brother can make, Brother Abdul, if you just finish the last one, I think Idris had a question, and then I know Tim, you've got to go to America. You got the bridge behind you.
I'm in San Francisco.
I think it's fair to say.
San Francisco. San Francisco.
Yeah, Golden Gate Bridge.
Okay. So, and the last point I was making, maybe where you missed out, was just about our youth. A lot of them in this period of time, they would have done with sympathy, counselling, helping to understand the situation. They're standing out on the street corners now. And again, the madrasa would have provided a very important function here in talking to them and helping them to understand, which have also eased family pressures, because obviously that youth is going to go home and it causes family pressures. And finally, Brother Idris also asked a question earlier: what was the scientific basis for closing madrasas or not opening them in the first place? So I'd leave that all with you. If it's at all possible, I'd be happy to go with you personally one-to-one. You can have my details, and I'll be happy to,
More than happy
I need to take this further. I have spoken to my local councillor. I'm waiting for a reply from there, and I've sent, obviously, communications to your department.
I'm delighted you've raised the issues you have. I'm also delighted that the underlying comments that you're making are around the keenness to bring children and people back into learning, and I completely support that. So the best way of approaching this, absolutely have my ear on this now. So let me take it away, have a conversation with my colleagues with some pace, and then hopefully what we can do is put another session in. I'm more than happy to deal with you one-to-one, and we'll have a further conversation and just work this through, because you need further clarity on this, and you're absolutely right to raise the issues that you're raising. So rather than delay the conversation any further, if Habibi's happy to coordinate that in the background,
sure. We'll do that too.
We'll just give us a couple of days to have some conversations with some colleagues, because you can imagine, I was saying to Habib at the beginning of the chat, we have an average of 12 meetings a day at the moment. But we'll squeeze in some conversations with colleagues and get back to you as soon as we possibly can. So I'm conscious how important this is.
I was going to suggest that anyway. I think obviously in one meeting we can't, this just, the conversation is just starting, and there's lots of questions and things people have probably got, and it's unfair. You probably haven't got all the answers. You'll have to speak to other people, and then I'll arrange to come back. I think if you can just take the last question, Tim, I know you have to go. Brother Idris has been waiting patiently. Idris, do you want to just ask the last question, please?
Yeah, thank you, Habib. Tim, one of the main reasons we have these calls is for you to get a clear indication of the sentiment of the communities, what they feel about what is going on in this area. And from a national level, I sit on the exec at the MCB, the Muslim Council of Britain. We've been hearing this consistently across the regions, that on the ground, people are feeling discriminated against. Places of worship are feeling discriminated, in that they've almost been sidelined by this whole discussion of no one's even talking about this. This is nothing new. We've been talking as a group. Habib will testify to this for weeks now, at least 2 months. What we asked for is that as soon as schools came on the agenda, could madrasas be included as part of the same, in exactly the same way? Because we have professional institutions run to Ofsted standards nationally. We have an Association of Muslim Schools, we've got Association of Muslim Secondary Schools. So we have professionally run institutes that can comply with government guidance. And so if there is a gap in knowledge within the council, within those in positions of power, then they need to engage with the right people so that they educate themselves, so that what they are talking about is actually relevant for the subject matter. And that's an offer from us. Like we work with Dr. Justin on the funerals, on the reopening of the mosques, on local issues, and with policing, then we're happy to work with you on this, because it seems as if the right people in the council who are making the decisions and feeding back up to government don't seem to have a real handle on what is the subject matter in this case.
No, thank you. And as I said at the beginning of the conversation, this is an opportunity for us to get that to work better, definitely from our point of view. And as I said before, I'm not positioning myself as an expert on everything. And I think this colleagues have clearly articulated there are some gaps here we need to close really quickly. So, you have my commitment that that's what I'm extremely keen to do.
Thank you, Tim.
So I can't tell you it's all perfect now, and I can't tell you I'm an expert on everything, but I can tell you you've got my commitment. So, and very keen to use this group and the auspices that sit underneath you to try and get to that position. So that's your commitment. That's the commitment you have from me today. And let me get back to you on the initial question set, and then we'll work through how we achieve that in the medium term, because I'm extremely keen to do that. And thank you for expressing those views.
What I'll do, Tim, is I'm going to just copy and paste all of the questions that were in the group chat, and I'll filter them and send them over to you, and then I'll touch base with Faye and sort out another date in the next couple of weeks. Give you a couple of weeks to go out and find out information that you need to, and speak to other colleagues, and I'll set something up with this group.
I'll get back with you as quick as I possibly can. Please, colleagues, bear in mind, as you can imagine, we're still full in emergency mode. But as soon as I can get back and talk to you, I will do. If we have to put in specific sessions to do that, I'm more than happy to do that, because these are critical issues. So thank you for your time, everybody.
Yeah, thanks,
Tim.
Thanks a lot. If brothers can stay on the line, just 1 second, please. If Tim's gone, that's fine. It's not a problem.
Speak again soon. Thanks a lot.
Okay, take care, Tim. Yeah, I'll speak to you soon, Tim. I'll set stuff up.
Thank you.
Yeah, welcome. Thanks. If okay, so if brothers are happy, then I think I've got more or less everybody that's on this group's email addresses and contacts. I will. I know some of you will be in overlap, because some of you are part of the masjids group as well. But this is specifically just around madrasas and opening of madrasas, and I think it's a separate conversation to the conversation that we have with Justin regards masjids and public health and COVID in general. I think this just needs to be a specific conversation, an ongoing conversation with Tim, and he's given his commitment. And what I will do is I'll set up a further meeting or subsequent meetings with him. And I think what Brother Idris said is quite key, in terms of whoever's speaking to Tim or whoever's advising him in the education department clearly haven't got an understanding of what the madrasa is and what the issues are and about madrasas. And it's important that the correct information is fed into him, and maybe this could be the group that kind of like feeds into Tim's understanding or the education department's understanding of what a madrasa is. So if people give me ijazah, I'll set up another meeting, and if people felt it was beneficial, inshallah, I'll set up another meeting in the next couple of weeks, and we can take it from there. In the meantime, if people, I know there's probably people never got the opportunity to ask questions, please email me your questions. And as Brother Abdul Latif will tell you, Tim's quite quick at getting the answers, replying back to emails. So if you could email me any questions that you've got, I'm more than happy to forward those questions and take them up on your behalf, and then obviously give you a response. And then what else I'll do as well is this recording, I'll keep this separate from the masjid group. I can send this recording just to the people that attended today's meeting. If I could just kindly ask for a favor, I know I've got most people's emails addresses, but I have put my email address on in the group chat. If I could ask everybody to email me and just say you attended today, then I know this is the group that I need to send this recording to. I'd really appreciate that. Is that okay with everybody?
Yeah.
Yes, people.
Inshallah, that's fine.
Yeah, I'll put it up for the benefit of the brothers that haven't got my email address. I'll put it up in the group chat again, so you capture it and just send me an email just to say that I was at the meeting today with Tim or something. Indicate that you was at today's meeting, so at least I've got that. I've got the information. I'll set this up as a separate group to the masjid group. But obviously, all the brothers are more than welcome to attend the masjid group as well. I know most of you do, because obviously you're also responsible for administrating masjid and some of your imams of your own masjids, and it's important that you take part in that meeting as well. Is there any other questions from anybody?
Yeah, can
Yes.
is it possible if I could just speak in regards to Brother Maulana Abdul Latif Sahib, mashallah, who spoke very articulately. Is it possible if I could get Brother Abdul Latif's contact details?
Yes, I'll send it to you.
A few things that we would like to discuss, if I could personally discuss with you.
Have you?
That'd be much appreciated.
I mean, if you want me to do that, Brother Latif, I'll if you're happy for me to share it, I'll share it with him. I'll share. I'll copy both of you into an email, so you got both. You got each of the email addresses.
You can put it out. I don't mind everybody else having it. It's okay.
Okay, that's fine. Okay, so when I send the recording of this, then I'll put everybody's emails address on this, so everybody has everybody's email address. And we can just call this a Madrasah Group or whatever. So just for the sake of identifying that, what the purpose of the meeting is, so people know it's the Madrasah Group and not the masjid's meeting. Any other questions from anybody?
Yeah, can I just ask, is it possible to meet with Tim? I don't know if the group, okay, where we can express our anguish, but in actual progress, in terms of progress, I mean, we're way late. Obviously, we've uncovered something here which I hope that Tim can appreciate, but whether it's deliberate or not, I'm not going to go into that. But the thing is, we have been sidelined for a long time. Our children have suffered, and this is not acceptable. It really isn't acceptable. They've been working on a definition which is absolutely incorrect. And as you heard, I mean, ideally, sensibly, if you want to define something you have no idea about, if I was to define something from the Jewish or the Sikh or the Hindu culture, I would ask one of them to define it for me, at the very least. But here, this definition, it was just borrowed. Literally, I'll read it to you again. In addition, out-of-school settings tend to be key community hubs of social interaction, similar to places such as community and youth centers. Now, this sounds like a madrasa. I mean, we're all familiar with the madrasa. Does this sound like a madrasa?
Well, it depends, to be honest with you.
So what I'm saying is that if this is what they've been working with, then I think we need to meet with them yesterday to define a madrasa and put it back where it should be, alongside schools, so that it has its proper treatment and quickly. I don't see what the benefit will be with Tim O'Neill meeting with Justin, because both of them are not aware of the definition. So what will they exactly discuss? They would one of us to be there.
I've raised that, Brother. I've given them a definition of madrasa, because part of it we need to take responsibility particularly within the Asian subcontinent. We've got different meaning of madrasa. So someone who maybe they've taken the definition from when I was growing up. A madrasa was we just went to the masjid after school, and it was open. Parents could go in. You could walk in and out. It was very relaxed.
No, that's a long time ago.
That's what I'm saying. But even now, Brother Latif, even now, this is. Let me stop the recording.